Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Tay. I'm Taylor Gonzalez, and my guest today is one of the hosts of Force Center and the writer and director of the upcoming horror film Dead Media. I am so excited to be joined by Joseph Scrimshaw. Joseph, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for inviting me to do the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. I am so excited for Dead Media, and we were just talking about how we're just days away from the road show. So it's perfect timing to talk all things Dead Media. How excited are you for people to finally get to see something that you worked so hard on?
Yeah, it's a very weird, twisty feeling. It is beautiful, of course, right? I'm very, very excited about it. I can't wait. It's the whole reason to make art is to, fulfill a goal in and of itself, and to have joy as you're making it, but then ultimately to share it. Because, I've known people in my life where like I write poems and then I go out in a canoe and I wrap the poem in a rock and I throw it in the bottom of the lake. And the point is I made art. And for me, I want to share it with people. Art is a conversation, and I have had said one side of the conversation, and I would like an audience to say the other side of the conversation.
Well, very exciting times. For people who might not be familiar with Dead Media, how would you describe it?
So it is a gothic horror film, more on the creepy side. It's sort of a folk horror theme. If the ancient horror was from the year 1999, it is the story of a troubled young woman, her aging hipster uncle, and a haunted DVD. Basically, she's going to watch an old horror movie from 1999 on streaming. Her uncle gets wind of this, and he's like, "No, no, 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 no! You got to watch it. What is to him the right way on a DVD packed with bonus features." And the DVD ain't right, and horror and generational trauma ensue. So it is definitely unless there's another film out there I don't know about. I think it is the world's first haunted DVD movie. And it's coming from a place of deep love of DVD and physical media and all those things, but then also wrestling with how do you love the past without just being stuck in the past?
Such a cool premise, such a cool setup. Very excited for this. How did you come up with the idea for Dead Media?
Yeah, it's kind of two parts. One, is travels back to 1999, 2000 when DVDs were really becoming popular. I bought my first DVD player in the year 2000 and remember that day very, very well and what I bought, which was the box set of the first three Scream films, the first DVDs that I purchased. Um, so when they were coming out and the DVDs were like so shiny and new and exciting and so great to get all of this information and this different level of connection because you're literally driving, going around to different layers. That excitement, that fresh newness was happening at the same time that the VHS found footage horror was really taking off. And it's like as soon as, everything started to become more digital, everything analog got extra creepy, right? Like you go to like any sort of just like Target or Walmart or wherever these days in the Halloween section is like here's a phone, here's a movie projector. So like anything old automatically becomes scary. And I remember thinking back in the day like, will DVDs ever be scary? And my feeling is that sort of like anything that gets old gets a little haunted. So I've really been thinking about something with the DVD for a long time. And then in terms of what the actual kind of the story is, the emotion of it is, a lot of it came from being in the world of pop culture discussion. You know me from the Force Center podcast, and that push and pull that it's so natural to love what you loved when you were young, uh, but that can also be destructive if you can't find a way to love the present as well.
You know, you picked like the perfect timing to release this, especially with PlayStation just announcing they're going to do away with discs and just everything going
Yeah.
digital. The other day I was going to go buy Star Fox, right? Because I may or may not be interviewing someone involved with Star Fox, but it was really frustrating because I wanted to get the physical cartridge.
Yeah.
It's $10 more now to buy a Nintendo game physically than it is to just download it digitally. And also, it's no longer the game on the cartridge. It is now, I think it's called a key card, where it's just access to get the digital file. So everything is going digital. I do not like it. I like having the box, the cover art, the disc.
Hmm.
So I just feel like this is a really good time to release this. You know, something crazy. I went to Best Buy not too long ago, and I forgot who I was looking for, but I asked them where their CDs were, and the guy said, "What is that?"
Really, like a straight up, I don't know what a compact disc is.
Yeah, he might have been like 17, 18 years old, and I was like, "Oh, where's your
Okay.
CD section?" He's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh no, come on."
A CD. You needed to go to like a bank to get one of those. Yeah, that's amazing.
I,
Painful.
yeah, very painful. How did you specifically decide on a DVD?
Yeah, I think like I said, I think I was really interested in the march of progress, making older things haunted. And I was just really interested in all of the layers and the different things that were so exciting, all the bonus features, the director's commentary and the making of, and this whole idea that a lot of us have said of like, well, you could learn how to make a movie just from watching the DVDs. So like, I have a deep love of DVDs. So it was that was just like a core part of the idea, the mechanics of it, the memory of it, the love of it. In 2000, my brother and I had a comedy variety show that we did every month called Look Ma No Pants. And we had a different theme every month. And I was just so jazzed about DVDs and that interactivity. I pitched him and we ended up doing like, what if we did Look No Ma No Pants, the DVD edition? Like the audience will have to like vote and choose. Like, do you see the dance next? Do you see the sketch next? We'll do a sketch where we're performing it, but then somebody else is pretending to be us doing commentary of it, and like all those levels of interactivity that are on a DVD have fascinated me for a long time.
Yeah, I love looking at the bonus features, the behind the scenes, the bloopers. I feel like we're
Yep.
losing bloopers, which is like, come on, that is so fun, especially for animated films. Like, do you remember when the Toy Story films would have bloopers?
Yes, they took the time to animate them. Yeah, I remember being grumpy when like early on they were raw. They were just sort of like, literally like the film had not been color graded, the sound hadn't been fixed, and it was just honest screw ups. And then they started to get more sleek and like, let's put a package together with wacky music behind it. And I
Yeah.
loved it just totally raw. Just, oh, did Tom Cruise tripped over something? Great, you know?
Oh man, the good old days.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to ask where this was filmed, and because it's a horror film, was it a lot of night shoots?
So I was trying to keep the horror in the film and not in the actual filming of the film. So we went to great lengths to have it not be night shoots. Everybody that I talked to was like, this is gonna be night shoots, isn't it? And even hardened pros who do night shoots are just like they're just hard on your body, and you get a day off and it doesn't really matter, and all that. It's really hard. So I think unless you have to. A lot of it was shot in theater, and a lot of it was shot in my dad's house, which is also my childhood home in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And my dad helped me with lots of stuff. And one of them was, I did a bunch of research on how do you black the hell out of windows, really, really, really black light. And we got the right kind of construction paper and lots of tape, and he helped me. And the gaffer, the person who does all the lighting, showed up and was like, "Oh, damn, you said you were gonna black it out, but you really blacked it out. That's great."
Oh, that is awesome. No, I love that you got to film it in your childhood home. Did anything ever unusual or spooky happen in that house when you were growing up?
You, I don't know about like actual like spooky. I think not to be a bummer, but there was some real life horror.
Oh,
The house is in North Minneapolis, which is a neighborhood that's had ups and downs for all of the normal reasons of just it it was a more affluent neighborhood, and then there was unrest in the 60s, and there was a lot of flight, and then so there's like a lot of big nice houses that kind of people are having a hard time, with finances and all that. And great community, and everybody's always trying to really make the most of the community. And I really want to emphasize, I think the neighborhood's in great shape now, but it was a little rough when we first moved in.
mm.
People were in, I'm not blaming anybody. It's people were having problems. Anyway, the reason I go on that long caveat. one of the first nights after we moved in, I was like 13 when we moved in. We had moved around, and I was 13, and I think that was the 13th house we had moved into. So I'd moved around a lot, and getting used to the new place. But somebody who had been in some kind of fight, thought somebody else lived there and was just like
Oh,
banging on the door, screaming, "I'm all messed up. I'm all effed up. You gotta let me in. Come on. This isn't fair. Let me in." Banging, banging, banging. Like, "I'm bleeding here, man. Let me in. Let me in." And I was not allowed to see it, but apparently the next morning, my mom had to go outside and clean lots of blood off the front door. So that was like my introduction to living in the house, and it's not a huge house by any means, but my family didn't have a ton of money, as it was the biggest house that we had lived in. So after that introduction, every creak, every time the dishwasher made a noise, it was like, is everything okay? What's going on? Never
wow.
actually had any for real problems in the house, but there was some mood.
Wow, that in itself is a horror film waiting to happen. That's creepy. I always think about that kind of stuff when it comes to horror films where there's stuff that happens in real life, like situational stuff. Someone thinks the wrong person lives there, or they kind of
Hmm.
did it with Barbarian, where it was like the Airbnb. I mean, it didn't really stick with that premise, but the Airbnb was double booked. There's stuff like that that happens all the time, and it's like, man, there's so many ways you could turn it into a horror film.
Yeah, I know. I love Barbarian, and yeah, I won't spoil it for anybody, but I love that it was able to advertise one thing that was super scary, and then that's not all it had up its sleeve. So good.
That movie is insane. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, one of my very favorites. Yeah, of recent times.
Yeah, since we're talking horror films, what are some of your other favorite horror movies?
Yeah, I run the gamut in a weird way. I generally tend a little bit more towards like the folky, creepy. Like I like some gore, but I'm not a big Saw person. Like I don't seek out body horror, and I have plenty of friends who are like I love body horror, and they can talk for a long time about why. So I have nothing but respect for it. So one of my touchstones is the original 1931 Dracula. I think I saw that when I was like 6 years old. Had like a free screening at the library, and then like The Count on Sesame Street was my favorite. And then have revisited that a lot over the years. Barbarian is high up there. I really like the Wicker Man. Is a great one. For my own personal horror journey, Scream is like really foundational.
Yeah,
Because I liked Universal horror, and I got exposed to horror in drips and drops from comic books and honestly little bits of Star Wars. Like, oh wow,
yeah,
that's horror. And but my parents did not want us seeing any of the like classic 80s slashers.
yeah.
So I would just like hear about those on the playground, and they would be like urban myths. And like when I finally saw them, it was a different reaction, because it was like Jason wasn't as scary as the kids described, and Freddy was even more scary than the kids described. And the first Halloween was like a beautiful work of art when I finally saw it. But so anyway, point being, I think like maybe I don't know 99 2000. I was like, I want to know more about horror movies, and Scream sounds really cool. And I rented Scream, and it was a moment of deep change for me, because I didn't get to see the slashers, so I only heard kind of like, well, here's who dies, here's how Jason puts, what body part Jason puts the knife through of this naked person. So I had a little bit of baggage that they were, shockier than I think they actually are.
Mhm.
And so when I watch Scream, and it's like, this cares about the characters so much, and
Yeah.
it's so funny and so scary. It's like I just fell in love with Scream.
Same. Scream, I don't know, is like, I think tied with Star Wars for my favorite franchise of all time. Like, I don't know, those two, I'm obsessed with them. You mentioned you like folklore and like folk kind of horror films. I would recommend Hokum. That one came out earlier this year with Adam Scott from Severance and
Oh
Parks and Rec.
yeah.
That movie was so good, and it was such like a nice self-contained story, and the suspense was great. His performance was great. I think you would really like that one.
Yeah, no, I would love that. That's one of the downsides of making a movie is it starts to limit the time you
Yeah.
have to see movies.
Oh man. No,
Like
I can imagine.
I went to it's like I'm gonna go see Backrooms and Obsession on the same day because I want to and I really want to be a part of the conversation. And I saw Backrooms and then I got started getting some messages about stuff that needed to get done for the film and I was like,
Uh-oh.
oh, sorry, Obsession.
Oh. So did you ever get to end up seeing Obsession?
I haven't seen it yet because it's really been like just so much work to, put the road show together
Yeah.
and, we're adding all these bells and whistles and yeah, it's just a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can, as a reward, when this is all over, you can watch it at home.
I'm gonna try to sneak off during the road show because I think there are a couple times where like, well, we need to drive from X to Z and we get there the night before and like, yeah, I
Oh,
think I'm
that'd be
gonna try to see that.
perfect.
Yeah, I really like Midsummer in terms of like a little bit of that sort of folk horror vibe and the creepy vibe. I really understand people's pushback on the term on elevated horror.
Yeah.
So because I think, yeah, like Halloween, I think is one of the most brilliant, most
Mhm.
artistic films ever made. And as we all know, as horror fans, John Carpenter just hired by a producer, like, have a guy kill some babysitters, and everybody involved with that, went and John Carpenter, Deborah Hill went and made something beautifully artistic. But I really like films. So I don't want to say elevated, but I like films that really pay attention to who are the characters, what are they going through, and I think that is one of the things that makes that original Halloween so beautiful. It is, and Scream built on it so beautifully of a mass killer with a knife as a sort of metaphor of I'm becoming an adult, particularly as a young woman, and I want to get more involved in the world, but who can I trust? It is, it's powerful.
Yeah. You mentioned both Obsession and Backrooms. What do you think of the incredible success that YouTubers are now finding in the theatrical experience?
I think it's great. I mean, I just it's every generation finds sort of different ways through, and sometimes somebody sits down and is just like really savvy and is
Mhm.
like, "Ooh, here are all the systems in place. Here's how I can crack this system." But I think like, with the indie film revolution in the 70s, I think that was a lot of people just going like, I'm gonna go make something.
Yeah.
And you make enough noise and people, gatekeepers with a lot of money, go, "Oh, you made a lot of noise. Cool. I would also like to make money
Yeah.
off of the art that you pursued out of love and with business savvy." And I think they're both clearly got some business savvy. And I think both. I don't know as much about the director of Obsession, but Kane Parsons has said a lot of really great things about like how supportive his parents are, and I think
Mhm.
that's so important when you have somebody who's truly there to help you. So I think it's great that, there's a sort of a new path being carved out. And if a bunch of young indie filmmakers are like, there's not a stigma in it. I would say like even 2 years ago, there'd be like, you made a movie and you just put it on YouTube. I guess it's a failure. And I think now it'll be like, well, people are, shooting their shot. They're
Yeah.
trying. Why not? They're getting art out to the masses. And if it strikes a chord, great. And they're doing it under their power. And it's not that different than applying to film festivals and, just trying to get it out in front of a lot of people. And then maybe a distributor will see it and pick it up. The biggest difference is you don't have to pay a bunch of submission fees. So.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Obsession. It's not going to spoil anything, but I know you're
Okay.
familiar with like the Burbank area. It's almost entirely shot in Burbank. So when
God
you're
damn.
watching it, you're going to get to uh, recognize a lot of places like Little Tony's. Are you familiar with Little Tony's?
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting the name of it, but Green Man or Lucky Green Man. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
yeah, that's in there. So when you're watching it, it's pretty cool because I think I saw it at the Burbank 16, and I didn't know going into it was going to be featuring a bunch of places around the area. So I was like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm like, where it was filmed. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, oh, that's so great. I love that. Yeah, we live close to some of the locations from La La Land where Emma Stone just absolutely teleports through time and space. Like she walks by our neighborhood and then, teleports down into Hollywood, goes through a door and then teleports to Smokehouse in Burbank.
Oh my, I was just there
It's so much
yesterday.
fun. Oh, the Smokehouse?
That's my favorite restaurant.
I love that place so much. I like that my sorry to keep whining about my time, but like
That's okay.
my time is limited before I actually like leave for the road show, and that's on my list of like I'm gonna be gone from LA for like at least a month. I must go to Smokehouse.
Yeah. That's my lunch. After this, I'm having leftovers from yesterday.
Nice.
Oh man. Okay, well, getting back to Dead Media, I know that you have made several short films in the past. How would you say that making those short films helped prepare you to make your first feature length with Dead Media?
I think all of it is just practice. It's, learning the ropes, and it's learning a lot about yourself as a filmmaker. So, it was a real conscious decision in like 2022 to say like, hey, I'm grateful to have had all these different artistic experiences from doing lots of different things, from theater to comedy to podcasting to playing the drums to I got my degree in visual art. And like I, I get obsessed and I like a thing and I want to
Mhm.
do it. And then it's like, but I need to focus and kind of pick a lane. Um, and I was like, I think I want to pick film because if I'm really honest with myself, at the end of the day, that's what I'd really like to do.
Mhm.
But it's daunting because it takes so much time and so much money. So it's like in 2022, it's like, let me just try this and see if I really like it enough to commit. And I had so much fun using different skill sets, to build stuff. And I learned about like what do I like doing, what makes sense to me. And then, I made this short called The Narrator, starring the great Phil Lamar. And if people are familiar with the Schmodown World or the Wanger Show, they'll know the name Christian Ruvalcaba. And I asked him to help me because I know he kind of knew the not only the directing side but the tech side really well. And he was just like, okay, here's modern filmmaking 101. Here's how things work. And I learned a lot from him from just that one short of just like, here's the basics of how everything functions now. And what program should I download and what should I learn and what problems might I run into? So all of that stuff was really foundational. And then after the narrator, that was enough of a taste to be like, oh, I need to make something bigger. So I made this short called The Nightmare Adorable, which is like 22 minutes long, which is, and that really was like, oh, this is the volume of work that I'm committing to if I'm making a film. So all that stuff was really good training that I really needed before jumping into a feature film. And then the feature film, I think, was also benefited by the amount of different kinds of storytelling I've done, and some of the stuff that I think might be more of a challenge for different filmmakers, depending on where they are in their journey. Is like talking to actors. I could do that all day. I love talking to actors. Some of the aspects of producing, like I produce theater shows and podcasts. It's really hard, but you make a list and then you make the list of when those things need to be done, and then you get real desperate about how much time and money and help you have to make those things happen. And some of the skills that I had, I think, really, really benefited me on my first time making a feature.
Did making this first feature-length film make you want to go back and revisit any of your short films and expand those or redo them as a feature length?
uh, the main thing that they have made me want to do is I worked with a really good sound mixer, sound editor, the person at the board who's making all of the final decisions, not only about like volume, but also like pulling in other special effects and manipulating existing cues. And his name's Lucian Palmer, and he was like a really great partner. And I kind of want to get him to redo the sound on all my short films, so
Oh,
they
that'd be
sound real
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe add in some CGI slugs and change one word. Just go back and make a couple changes here and there.
I think for the short films, I'm keeping them the way they are. I'm keeping them the way they are. Dead Media has been a real iteration process of, the core of it, the heart of it has never changed, but the how of it,
Mhm.
has grown and grown and grown. And I think I think that is good about art. I think people should dive in and do some amount of learning as you grow. I think there's some sort of I think because tutorials are just money makers on YouTube and
Yeah.
TikTok, I think people can be inundated with you know, if you're not a professional sandwich maker who's been doing it for 5 years, don't you even think of picking up that bread?
Yeah.
Like we can get sort of inundated with the like, do I know enough to try? And like you're gonna make mistakes, and you got to get in there and figure it out. And for some of Dead Media, the core idea has never changed, but massaging the score, making slightly different, editing choices, massaging the color grade, all those kind of just like really get in there and really explore every tool that you have to tell the story.
Mhm.
Um, it has been some iterating.
No, yeah, that's very awesome. I wanted to make sure we mention the Los Angeles premiere event, which is coming up on July 18th. Did you want to mention that a little bit? And if people are interested in getting tickets, how can they attend it themselves?
Yeah, so the Los Angeles premiere is at a great place called Brain Dead Studios on Fairfax. Not too far from Burbank, a little bit of a drive, but you can make it from the Smokehouse to Brain Dead Studios, no problem. And we're trying to make everything on the roadshow a bit of an event. It is, we're calling it the Bonus Features Tour because we want the film to have bonus features to make it an event to leave your house. So I'm going to be doing a short intro before every screening, including at the LA premiere. I'm going to be doing a weird DVD giveaway to a lucky audience member. There'll be a Q&A after every show. And in Los Angeles, the Q&A is going to be moderated by the filmmaker Joe Lynch, who is an executive producer on the film. Joe Lynch, people might know from Mayhem and Suitable Flesh, a great Lovecraft adaptation he released a couple of years ago. So he's going to be moderating the Q&A, and then some of the stars of the film, Sammy Jack Martinsack, Jessica Fenton, Antonio Teodoro, and James Urbaniak, who people might know from almost everything that's ever been broadcast in recent times. He's one of those great people know him and love him from being Dr. Venture on the Venture Brothers. But and James says this, he loves it. He's also a one of our great "Where do I know you from?" character actor guys of the modern age. He's been in everything from The Fablemans to he was the foot fetish guy in Sex and the City, which he's really proud of.
Oh my
So
gosh.
he is in the film, and he'll be at the premiere and at the Q&A afterwards. So if you're interested, you can go to antennareleasing.com/films/dead media, and that will lead you to a list of tickets for the entire road show. We're still building it out, but there's a bunch on there. Yeah, and if you're in the Los Angeles area, and if you're curious, yeah, I would really love to see people out there. We're really going to try to pack the theater. Obviously, we want every screening to be a special event, but we're kicking off the road show and having a really great screening with lots of people posting pictures with the marquee, and we're going to have a photo op. That helps the whole road show. So not only are you coming to the film, you are helping the whole road show.
Yeah. Sounds like an incredible evening. In the meantime, where's a good place for people to come follow you and keep up with all your other upcoming projects and announcements?
Yeah, so you can follow me just about everywhere on social media is at Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm not on X anymore, but everywhere else, even LinkedIn, you can find me at Joseph Scrimshaw. And we started an Instagram account for Dead Media that is at Dead Media Movie.
Awesome. I'll make sure to put some links in the description of this video. But Joseph, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me and talk all things Dead Media. And congratulations on the upcoming release.
Well, thank you so much. It's really fun to finally meet you. It's one thing to see a name on social media, and it's so great to see people's faces and hear their passions. So thank you so much.
Yeah, very nice to meet you as well. And hope to see you at Smokehouse soon.
Sounds good.
All
Take it
right.
easy.
Bye.